Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Tinkering with Techtic. In this episode, I'm going to be doing something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, and that's build my very own, fully customized, long-range drone with autonomous capability. So, without further ado, let's get right into it.
First, we'll start with the frame. This is the Camera Butter Cinema 1 frame. I really like this frame due to its lightweight, low cost, and modularity. You can see here that there are two possible configurations, which helps keep props out of the camera view. Next is the motors. I went with 4 Emax Eco 2 motors with a low kV for high torque. Those 4 motors will get soldered to the speed controller This is a Skystars 45 amp 4-in-1 speed controller. After we get all of that wired up, it's time to move to the brains of the quadcopter, the flight controller. I used the Holybro Kakut F7 HDV AIO because it is compatible with many open source flight software for autonomous flight. This controller will not easily stack to the speed controller, so you'll need to solder 4 jumpers from the speed controller outputs to M1 through M4 on the flight controller. Then you'll need to jump the input power leads on the flight controller to the terminal leads on the speed controller. The connector from the speed controller helps make it a little bit easier. It'll look like this when it's all done. Now that all of the soldering for the power is done, we'll want to plug it in and test that everything is wired correctly. Please use some type of anti-short circuit device the first time you plug it in to protect your hardware. If there is a fault, it will cut power. The battery of choice was this beast, the Pyrodrone Graphene 3300 milliamp hours 6S 22.2 volt battery. I plan to fly this drone for a while on a single charge. Everything looks good so far. Next, you'll need to install the receiver. For long range, I used the TBS Tracer Nano and soldered it to the ground 5-volt R4 and T4 locations on my flight controller. Next, I installed the MATEK GPS module for autonomous flight. Note, RX on the GPS goes to a T input on the flight controller and TX goes to an R input on the flight controller. I used R2 and T2 on my flight controller. Now, we want to protect all of this precious circuitry, so I applied a light coat of silicone conformal coating to all of my exposed electronics. Finally, to control everything, I purchased the TBS Mambo controller.
Welcome to Mambo.
And that is all of the hardware you will need. Phew! Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you like what you see, check out one of my other videos using the links on your screen. And if you would like to see more great content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, or even check out our Patreon in the link below.